Well, it's day 2 of lockdown in the UK. We've been completely sort of locked down here. Well, not completely, but locked down enough to be confined to our homes. But they are still allowing us to get exercise. Now, I've come up to my local woodland for my daily exercise. It's less than a kilometre away from my house. It's literally just down the road. There's not a soul around. You can hear the bird song. It's a beautiful day. It's almost cruel. The weather in Britain at the moment is so nice, and yet we're not really allowed to make the most of it. But yeah, I've come down with my very basic setup. I've kind of given myself half an hour for this little walk, and I've literally got one camera, my EOSR, one lens, got a little 28-80 lens, no tripods. Just going to come down and see what I can shoot. And obviously with this lockdown, I can't go further afield. Well, technically at the moment you can sort of drive and you can go out and get exercise in various places, but I've kept it to the minimum. I'm trying to sort of isolate as much as I can, but I need to get out, as most of you do, just to get a bit of fresh air and keep sane, basically. So my plan for my little half an hour outing is to use my basic setup. Like I said just now, I didn't want to bring everything with me, and I'm very aware that there's a lot of people out there in the photographic community that aren't able to find something like this on their doorstep. So I fully appreciate not being able to sort of make the most of the outdoors, especially if you live in a big city. So I am very fortunate to be able to come here, somewhere so close to home. While I'm on the topic of this lockdown thing and the whole photographic community, about 2 years ago, I was a photographer, self-employed photographer for 15 plus years, getting on for 20 years in total. So I know exactly what it's like to get to a point where you've got no money coming in some months, and it's a worrying prospect. And in these times at the moment, very uncertain times, I'm well aware of how things are at the moment for all you guys out there that are still fully self-employed. Like I said, 2 years ago, I took the decision to stop being fully self-employed for various reasons, mainly financial. It's always been a struggle to be a full-time photographer, so I know exactly what it's like, with incomes they're never straightforward, they're up and down. It's a feast or famine existence, I'm afraid. But in these times now that we're in, it's even more uncertain. So before I start this mini vlog and try and get some pictures, I'm going to put a shout out to a few channels. Now these guys I know are fully self-employed, and they make their living from photography. So yeah, give them a follow, give them a subscribe, and while you've got all this time in your hands, you can always go in and check out their channels. So I've got Alyn Wallace. I'll put all the links up in the top of the screen, and obviously in the description as well. Alyn Wallace is an astrophotographer based up in Wales. I've also got Craig Roberts. He's another good vlogger. He's very funny as well, which is good, very interesting vlogs. David Clapp, he's a good friend of mine as well. He's based down here in the southwest. Very good photographer. So check his channel out. And Chris Sale, I think he's recently gone self-employed, which is even more of a nightmare, I think, in this current situation. Very good photographer, and he puts a lot of effort into what he's doing. So yeah, give him a follow. And Jon Gibbs. Jon Gibbs is fairly new to YouTube, I think, but again, he's putting a lot of effort in. Very interesting vlogs. Yeah, give him a follow. And last but not least, there's probably loads of guys that I've forgotten to mention, but these guys I watch quite a lot. A guy called Miguel. He's a wildlife photographer. Nice guy. got quite a lot of vlogs out there. He's very, very good sort of technically, and he's got loads of tips and tricks on his channel. So yeah, check him out. Let's see, I'm sure they'd appreciate a follow and a subscribe. And let's say in these uncertain times, hopefully, you know, your little subscribe will obviously go towards helping these guys out. So yeah, I'm going to carry on walking up through the woods. The sun is almost overhead at the moment, so it's not ideal conditions, but I'm not complaining because this is a good opportunity for me to get out and do something rather than sitting there watching daytime TV. So camera wise, got my EOSR, and I've got a little 28-80 lens, and I've also brought my polarizer, which is good in these conditions because it's there's a lot of green moss on the trees here, so it'll boost up the saturation and the contrast, and take away the glare off some of the foliage, which will make it appear to be more saturated in colour. Very simple lens, so I'm going to obviously shoot handheld because I've got no tripod this morning. In terms of settings, I'm going to keep it in manual mode, but also switch between that and AV mode as well, depending on what I'm shooting. So I've got a nice sort of view in front of me at the moment, so I'm going to shoot a few frames here. It looks quite nice. It's kind of side lit at the moment, which looks really nice. The first part of my little outing, it's I walk through deciduous woodland, then it goes on up in the background to some pine woodland as well, which is a bit more dense. There's not a lot of light coming through there, but here at the moment there's a nice shot here. The sun's coming through the top of the canopy. It looks really nice. So I'm going to focus on this first tree. Nice tight crop, looking up through with all the tree side lit here. Should look quite nice. I've got to admit, this feels like a bit of a covert operation coming out and doing this. I kind of feel a bit guilty, but I am sticking to the guidelines that the government have suggested, and they haven't actually said at the moment you can only go so far and do this and do that, but it's just common sense really. There's not a soul around up here, so I am isolated, which is the main thing. I'm up amongst the pine woods at the moment. You can see in the background how dense they are, so there is some light coming through. It's nice, and it's light and shadow there. It's quite nice photographically. So I'm going to do a couple of shots here. The lens I'm using is it's not a L series lens, but it's a 2.8 lens at the widest point. So I'm going to play around with some apertures, and I want to try and get a couple of shots where I'm kind of zoomed into the trees, but also some wider shots as well, looking up at the canopy. You can see above me there, canopy's looking really nice with the blue sky, and with that polarizer turned round, should get some nice deep blue skies. It's actually quite liberating not having a tripod with me. I'm trying shots that I don't normally try. Whether or not these will come out is another matter. But yeah, having the freedom to just kind of shoot away. This is another shot behind me there. I keep seeing all these shots in here, it's great. Yeah, having the freedom of not being lumbered with a tripod sometimes is great. With the EOSR, it's, you know, I'm able to bump the ISO up without worrying about noise and stuff like that. It's the lens I've got on. It's not a great lens, but it's handy. It's got a good focal length, so I'm able to try different shots. So yeah, it's so far so good. It's just nice to be out. I think in these times, I don't want to keep waffling on about this, but you know, your mental health is quite important, and I think being stuck indoors, and you know, you need to get out. You need to sort of get a fresh air, even if it's just out on a balcony or whatever. It's you've got to get some fresh air. You've got to get some sun. And now we've got this weather, it does do you good to get a bit of sun on your face. So yeah, definitely good for the soul. And obviously plans have gone completely out the window, so I should be going out to Iceland at the end of this week, but obviously I've had to cancel that. I was going to take my son there. That's gone out the window, unfortunately. So I'm now stood here shooting ICM pictures, of all things. Not my favourite subject, but it's worth a try. Going forward, I've got some plans for the channel. Well, I did have some plans for the channel, and obviously those are going to be postponed for a while. Some collaboration stuff, so I'm looking forward to that. When it will happen is another thing, but got to stay positive, I think, and just think forward. But at the moment, it's just taking things day by day like everybody else, I think. Okay, so that's my exercise for the day. I'm going to wander back home now. Hope you've enjoyed this, and again, stay safe out there, and give those guys a follow or subscribe, and keep that community going. Thanks for watching, and well, hopefully see you at some stage. Bye for now.